Jonathan Drouin, far side half wall. Cale Makar stutter steps. He scores! Oh, hail Cale! It's point number 80 for Cale Makar, and that makes him the 8th D-man in the history of the National Hockey League to have 3 seasons with 80 or more points. Center ice for Arturi Lehkonen, back from Makar. 1-on-4, Makar keeps it himself. Near side circle, throws on the brakes. Leaves it for McKinnon. No defenseman back. Batherson. Toe drag. Shot. Glove save! Made by Wedgwood! Great Scott! Best scoring chance of the night for Ottawa, and Scott Wedgwood is a wedge wall.
Wow, I'm sorry, what? A wedge wall? The great Connor McGahey right there.
Awesome.
Yeah, yesterday was an interesting game because the game was so early. You know, it's a 5 o'clock puck drop. And, it took a little time to get going. But after the 10-minute mark, they scored 4 goals in the first. And you're like, well, this game's over. And it was.
Well, but Wedgwood, again, I was told in those first 5 minutes was just outstanding. They were a little bit back on their heels. Make some plays, make some saves, and all of a sudden here comes the choo-choo train, so to speak. Here comes the Avalanche, and watch out. This is the best goaltending pair in the history of Colorado Avalanche hockey, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
as a combination.
Ooh, yeah. Think about that for a little bit. The best combination in goaltending history.
In Avalanche goaltending history.
I gotta think a little bit who was backing up Patrick Waugh at the time. You know, I gotta use the Wayback Machine on that one. Who were Patrick Waugh's? We might need some help from the text line here. Like who were his backups? So you like this more than Darcy and Francouz? I guess.
Listen, Francouz was nice and won a series for you on the way to a cup, including the shutout, I believe, in that. When did it get St. Louis that he had
he shut out
Edmonton.
Edmonton. He took care of Edmonton for us, and then Darcy was back for the final.
Yeah, that was fabulous and worked out. That actually worked out. And then I think that was probably so far the highlight of Francouz's career, right? I mean, that little moment as a backup.
Boy, am I getting that right?
Kemper,
Am I wrong on that? Darcy Kemper, what was the series that?
I thought it was either Nashville or St. Louis.
You know what? It might have been St. Louis, actually, now that I think about it, because Darcy got his eye poked in Nashville by Ryan Johansson. So that actually makes more sense that would have been the second series, I think. Well, my memory is not that great, but it was something like that. Anyways, what do you got there, Dan?
The 2001 Avs roster, their championship year, second cup year, the backup to Patrick Waugh was David Abisher. You guys remember him?
Yeah, from Switzerland.
I do remember Abisher, yeah.
So that's probably.
I still like these two better.
Well, I'll tell you this: it's pretty unclear who the better one is between Wedgwood and Blackwood, isn't it? It's not. Yeah. It's not obvious to me. It's not. So
it's so not obvious that I'd get Wedgwood signed. I would make sure that he's under wraps for the next couple of years.
I'm not sure where he's at. Is he just on a 1-year sort of deal here? I know they did a deal with Blackwood. Is Wedgwood done? Well, that'd be good. Hey, listen, man, the Avs are absolutely rolling. It was a little hiccup there in Toronto. It was just an odd game.
Two unlucky goals.
Two unlucky goals. And then look what they do when they're a little ticked off. Look what they do on a back-to-back there in Ottawa against Brady Tkachuk and whatever they got going there in Ottawa. Not much. And they play against Montreal tomorrow. And I anticipate a nice win up there in Montreal as well. So the Avs are just steamrolling everybody, and they're playing their best hockey of the year right now.
At the right time. Getting ready for the playoffs. Playoffs start in a couple weeks for them, don't they?
I'm sorry, what's that, Dan?
2-3 weeks?
Wedgwood is signed through at the end of next season, just FYI. So they have it for next year, too.
I'd keep him. I like him.
Okay.
I like him a lot. I'm not sure I don't like him better than Blackwood, but, again, I told Dan during the break, you don't know. I mean, there's a big difference in playing 20 games a year than 60.
Right.
You know?
I mean, who knows? I mean, let's just roll with the punches as they take us. And right now, it's taken us to some pretty interesting times. That being said, here's what's frustrating. There's really nothing they can do to avoid, whether you care or not, playing Dallas. And DeBoer, the coach for Dallas, did something interesting last night, Scott. This was so bizarrely transparent, and I don't know. I think it's a little pathetic, but they lose in a shootout. So they got a point, and they lose to the Lightning in a shootout. Well, he comes out afterwards. Dan, you got this? And he goes out and does this whole rip the team sort of deal.
Yeah, I saw Rupe on the broadcast talking to the ref after he came back in with the eye.
He's fine.
Explanation on that.
No, he's fine.
Any comments on the fourth line, Oscar,
Yeah.
Steele?
Yeah, I mean, those guys gave us, I shouldn't say everyone, those guys gave us some shifts. They gave us some energy. They tried. So, but that's a short list of guys on that list.
Bishop talked about coming in and trying to disrupt
Yeah,
the momentum that they
he's on that list with those guys, But when you're talking about the fourth line and the youngest defenseman on the team, being the bright spots, that's this time of year, that's not good enough. Okay, thanks.
And then he storms off.
Well, I will say this. It'd be like Malone saying, well, listen, it's kind of tough when saying that your hardest worker out there last night was Spencer Jones. I mean, that ain't how it's supposed to be at this time of year. And I from that statement from him, I would go, Coach, you're right.
I'm just laughing at it, man. It's so transparent. Listen, if it's genuine and okay, but when Dallas is doing fine, I don't know how players take coaches like that seriously, Scott. I really don't. I don't know if it works or it doesn't work. You tell me, man. But to me, it came across as pretty phony.
It depends. I would say this: if it's George Carl always said this, you got 5-6 bullets that you can use to blast your team all year. So if this was your first or second bullet you used, then the team might go, yeah, he's right, we sucked, we didn't play hard. If it's your 12th or 13th time you've done it this year, A, you might have something wrong with your team. B, your coach ain't going to be around very long. And C, maybe it's glad we get him in the first round.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if this is what he has to do at this time of the year for Dallas, why are we afraid of Dallas? And for the record, I'm not afraid of Dallas. So it's just weird because of the way they have the playoffs set up, Scott, in the NHL, and they're not changing it anytime soon. There's not
stupid.
Well, yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot the Avs can do, and they have been playing really, really well. But no matter how well they play, they're probably going to play Dallas. Period. Whether the second seed or the third seed. I mean, as long as they don't fall back and get caught by Minnesota, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, this is a steam engine coming down the tracks right now, the Avalanche are. But there's no other – I mean, I guess you could have home ice instead of being on the road against Dallas, maybe, I guess, if that's a big deal, which I don't think it actually is. So the Avalanche season, listen, you got to take every game serious and play hard and blah, 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 all that stuff. But I think the season's kind of written here for the Avs going into the playoffs.
Well, listen, the Stars only played 68 games. You played 70. They got you 90 to 87 on the points. So say you catch the Stars, all right, you have 97 and they have 95. Well, you're still playing them because of the way the stupid playoffs are set. You ain't catching Winnipeg. Winnipeg's already sitting at 100 points. And ain't no one going to catch them. So unless you want to try to drop way back and get into the wild card, and I'm not sure that the Avs want to do that. Yeah, I mean, you're playing Dallas, period.
You're playing Dallas. So, listen, I'm happy to see them play well. They need to win to, make sure you don't fall past Minnesota, but you don't have to kill yourself, in all honesty. It's going to be Dallas, and then you go from there. And the Stanley Cup play. And by the way, if they were – now let me run this past you. I looked at it. If they were seeding it 1 through 8, do you know who they would be playing in the first round?
1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. L.A. Kings.
Edmonton Oilers. How'd you like to
Well,
play?
Edmonton's
Would you rather play?
Edmonton's moved up to second.
Yeah, but if you just look at the points. If you just did the points.
3, 4. Oh, so the Avs would be 4. Edmonton would be 5.
Correct. If it were to start today.
Yeah.
You'd be playing Edmonton. Would you rather play Dallas or Edmonton?
Well, Edmonton, I think you've got the answer for Edmonton now. I think you're just as quick, and now you're more physical. The physical teams have scared me, but I think that's what Joe Sakic and McFarland have done. They said, you're right, we weren't physical enough, and I think they answered that question. So, listen, you're probably going to have to be one of those two anyway.
Right. To me, it's a moot point. To me, all these teams are kind of in the same bucket. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty tough. I don't think there's one team in the top 8 that's so much better than another team. I know Winnipeg's been rolling because Hellebuck's been so good, but I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other, frankly. I really don't give a crap. And I don't really give a crap about home ice. To me, it's no big deal.
Here's the interesting thing. If you seen it like the NBA and you just 1, 2, 3, 4, to 8, 1 through 8, best records, best points 1 through 8, then you might really be trying to push it because you're only a point behind Vegas that you could actually count them and move to 3, and then you would get the Kings.
Well, now I didn't even know this. Dan's coming up with some information. McDavid is getting an MRI on Friday. And Draisaitl and McDavid are both out? Oh, boy. So maybe they're a little bumped up, huh? Ooh, well, then I definitely would rather play Edmonton if that's the case. But
well, Minnesota Wild's at, they're in the wrong division. Blues are at 77.
You know what?
Ain't no one good.
You know what? Don't worry
No one
about
in that division is going to catch Edmonton anyway.
Yeah, forget it. Don't worry about it. We'll take on Dallas. We'll take on Mikko. Their coach is melting down on them, whether he needs to or not. He's doing it. It'd be the second team that Mikko would be disappointing after the trade. Whatever. Who cares?
By the way, the Hurricanes have won 7 in a row.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Since the trade.
Wow. Dude,
this guy might have been an anchor. Now all of a sudden he goes to Dallas and they don't play hard there. What did I write back in our show thread? I said the Mikko factor.
Wow.
Maybe he's bringing that energy down in Dallas now.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.